people who are already coming to you, and also perhaps for Stephen as well. And then for Jason, I'm just curious what the relationship, the editorial relationship is between your print side and politics, online, because we're just sort of working out these relationships at our station as well, and I'm just curious if your political reporter who was going to the Iowa caucus came to you and said, "How can I make myself available, my content, my ideas available in this multi-platform way?" Or is that something that the online side comes to print with? So those are two different.
I kind of see it as both in terms of audience that we're serving versus getting new users. With PBS.org, I see the Vote 2008 page as almost a way of teaching people who aren't coming to this stuff all other places of how to kind of use those widgets and put them on their sites, and what is a widget. It's like kind of a good way of teaching them and using it as a teaching tool, because obviously PBS skews a little bit older in terms of the viewership, especially shows like NewsHour, things like that. But the website, you'd actually be surprised, I think it's 2/3 is under 45. And so we actually are getting that new audience in a way that you might not expect, but it's how to bridge that gap of, we have these new people coming, but those aren't necessarily the people that are watching stuff on NewsHour every night, or if they are, they're watching it on podcasts instead of watching it on broadcast. So it's kind of both in a way. So,
Jason, if you can remember the question.
I do remember the question. It happens both ways. There are a lot of times when we go to our print side colleagues and with ideas, and sometimes they come to us with ideas. We're in a sort of unique situation, being separate entities. There's no there's a mandate to communicate and to cooperate, but there's no sort of structural forcing of that. And so that has had its advantages in that we've been able to innovate and be creative and create a lot of cool content and coverage just based on sort of personal relationships between the two sides. I think the day is coming when we will, I don't know when we will have that sort of structural coming together and a more formal cooperative relationship.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. I know we had one here, at least, in the middle.
Hi, Ryan Sholin, Gatehouse Media. Question for Jason. Laura mentioned that PBS is basically syndicating out your widgets and interactive maps to all of your network affiliates, more or less. Does the Post have any thoughts on syndicating these to wire subscribers, or even just to make these things embeddable on websites so that Daily Kos and Politics West and even bloggers could really widgetize all of the great data work you're doing?
I mean, that's one
widgetize, I love it.
We've actually done a lot of that. That's one of the, that should have been on my list of things that have changed between 2004 and 2008 is that dissemination. And just like Susan was saying, we have a clear symbiotic relationship now with partisan blogs and aggregators and people that go to Daily Kos and Huffington Post or Drudge. We want our content on those sites because we want their readership to look at our content. And so we've done a lot of Google gadgets, we've done a lot of widgets for Facebook for our various data projects and news projects. And so, yeah, we see it as sort of, just like Susan said, we don't think we can do exactly what they do, but we want to make our content, available to that audience.
And I think, Susan, you mentioned yesterday that you still run into a lot of people who still don't know what a blog is. It's still a new word.
Yeah, that really, it amazes me, especially I'll run into, since I just moved to the Bay Area, which is the hotbed of liberalism, I know very few people who have even heard of Daily Kos, which is the largest, online community at least, and very few people that do blogs. And I think in that sense, we have a lot of room to grow because these people would be interested in our content. Because Greg was talking about kind of the leveling off of readership online for a lot of the traditional newspapers, because if if you've already read their print edition, you've signed up by now and have been reading online. But I think that we have a lot of growth potential because people that have never even heard of a blog.